All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, head coach of your ECU women's basketball team, Kim McNeill. A showdown coming up against Rice this Saturday. And, Coach, girls playing great. Although, when I listened to your post-game press conference the other night, I was wondering if we won or not. But we'll get into that. But overall, you got to be happy with the results in conference play, right?
Definitely, especially the way we kind of started off non-conference, but I knew it was going to take some time with 10 new players, learning the system and learning each other. I knew it would be a team that would probably be playing better come conference play. And we've been able to gel together offensively. Defensively, we still got a little bit of work to do. But I'm really excited about what we've been able to do thus far.
I've talked to a lot of coaches, and Greg Hudson comes to mind, former ECU defensive coordinator, and said, Coach, after you beat West Virginia and Virginia Tech, how do you handle that week of practice? And he said, we kicked their rears, and he didn't say rears. He said another word, but it reminded me of that hearing you the other night, and I know you were genuine in your words, but also you don't want your team to get high. You certainly don't want them to get too low. So how about trying to keep – it's such a long season, right? So how about trying to keep that balance?
It is. I mean, basketball is the longest season in college athletics. We play both in the fall and in the spring. So, you just try to keep it fun, but you want your kids not to settle. You want them to want more. And I felt like in the second half against Florida Atlantic, we got very comfortable, and our motto all year has been just trying to get better every practice, every quarter, every half, every game. And I thought we started off pretty well in the first half and we got comfortable and was just okay with where we were. And I didn't think we got better in the second half. So, they know me. I don't bite my tongue. I tell them the truth. I don't sugarcoat stuff. And so I had to let them know that wasn't acceptable. But trust me, I've caught a lot of flack from it. With people saying, "Coach, just have some fun, relax." But I just don't want them to settle. As women, we got to fight for what we want. We got to be a little bit better than the rest. And so, it's not only about basketball; it's about teaching life lessons too.
And the important thing is, how does your team, how do the players handle your criticism and your words? So, how about coming out of that game? How have the players looked?
We didn't practice yesterday, because we are Saturday, Tuesday league. We take Wednesdays off. So yesterday was a day off, which was probably good, that we got away from each other a little bit. We also had some people sick too, and Jayla Herb, Savannah Brooks, and Kennedy Fauntleroy, they were sick, going into that game.
Mm.
So, that may have kind of had a reason to for their low energy in the second half. So, yesterday was a day for them to get themselves back together, get their energy going, and we'll come out here today in a couple hours and have a good one and get ready for Saturday.
That's why they're high level D1 athletes, and I'm who I am. I didn't come into work Monday and Tuesday, Coach. They had to play a 40-minute basketball game plus everything else. So, shout out to them. And you mentioned Kennedy. A few weeks ago, Jacob Jenkins Cowart joined us on the show, and we were watching a game while he was on. And I don't remember the particular game. It was one of those where you were down in the second half and came back and won. They all rolled together with me because
Yeah.
you have a lot of those games. But he saw about four possessions, and he was like, "Give it to number four, give it to four." And she's my favorite player too, but not because of offense. It's the same reason Jay Shane's my favorite men's player. Just hand on every loose ball and active and a pest and a menace and just so much fun to watch. But how about when you have a player that can score like she does, but also does what she does on the defensive end?
Yeah, I think we did a good job in this class of bringing in a lot of two-way players, kids that can do it on both ends of the floor. Savannah Brooks is another one, that she just does all the little things for us defensively, but can also score the ball as well. Kiana Rembrandt, does a really good job defensively for us. So I think that's why we're seeing so much success because we have a lot of two-way players, more than what we have in the past. But, Kennedy, I think she should be a front runner for player of the year and defensive player of the year. That's what we feel like she should have now. That's not what she feels like. She's a different kid. Like she's like a flower child back in the 70s where she kind of just floats through life, and that doesn't really motivate her, which is a good and a bad thing. She's not a selfish kid where she's out there on the floor thinking about me, and the accolades that I could get. She really wants to win. So no, me and her relationship has come a long ways, through the season. She's a trust kid. The moment she trusts you and feel like you have her back, she'll run through a wall for you. But it's taken us some time to get there. And I think we're in a really, really good place right now.
Kim McNeill joining us, Coach. I know you want to see a big crowd for Rice on
Yes.
Saturday, and there will be different types of basketball fans there, and you'll have the diehard basketball fan in Shirley Rhodes, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I host sports trivia at Overtime Tavern on Wednesday night and the Buccaneer Music Hall Monday, and there's a guy that comes and plays. He's from Washington. He went to Washington State. Has no ties to ECU, but he has a couple of daughters, and said they were watching, I think, the Carolina Duke game, and one of his daughters said, "Do girls play basketball?" And he said, "Yeah." And she said, "Can we watch that?" And he said, "Yeah, yeah. After this, we'll turn a women's game on." And he said, "Do you want to go see them women's game live?" And she said, "Yeah." So they will be in attendance on Saturday, and I just thought that was pretty cool, kind of growing the game bit by bit and turning girls into sports fans, into ECU basketball fans.
And that's part of what we want to do here. We want to get Greenville and Pirate Nation excited about women's basketball. We want to get young girls, maybe not even basketball, but other sports, volleyball, soccer or whatever it is, to let them know that, they can be athletes too. And for so long, when you used to turn on the TV, all you saw was men athletes. I think things are changing now. The world is changing, and you turn it on TV and you're seeing volleyball, you're seeing gymnastics, you're seeing women's basketball, you're seeing all kinds of sports, on ESPN and all the other major outlets. And so it's a great time to be a part of women's athletics right now. And I just hope we can continue to grow it.
We'll be watching some women's hockey today, I guess, Coach. Did you ever
Yeah.
put on some ice skates and play hockey?
I have not. I have that
Neither have I.
that is a physical sport. You got to be really tough to play hockey.
That one didn't get me here in Eastern North Carolina, but the Hurricanes came after I was here. So, and then I mentioned Shirley will be there. Shirley said not only is she an ECU fan, but I want to see what the heck this Rice team is doing to win 18 in a row. That's pretty incredible, Coach. What have you seen from them? Obviously they do a lot well. What stands out about them?
Yeah, I think the thing that really helps them do what they do is they return like 3 starters, and they got 2 kids that played major minutes for them off the bench in the starting lineup. So they have a lot of chemistry. There's no new kids in their starting lineup. So that helps, when it comes down to playing basketball and you've got 5 people on the floor. So those kids, they really know each other, they trust each other, and they play very, very well together. They're extremely disciplined. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They're kind of like us offensively, where all 5 people are threats to score the ball. They got 4 people in double figures, just like we do. I think the difference defensively is, they play scout defense. They don't really turn you over a whole lot, but they make it hard for you to score. Being in the gaps, not allowing you to go downhill, and they got really good size. So, just a lot of experience, very disciplined, and they just don't make a lot of mistakes.
Sure.
Coach, this is Shirley. I just wanted to ask
Shirley.
you a question. And I hope I got the right player, but I remember you telling us a story, and I want to say it was Kennedy Fauntleroy's story, in terms of you had built a relationship with her when you were trying to recruit her, but she went somewhere else, and then you finally got her here to East Carolina. I wanted to ask, what that was like, in terms of what was the one thing you think sold her in coming to East Carolina and playing for the Pirates?
Shirley, that story kind of goes for a couple of kids on our team.
Hmm.
Taylor Barner is one of them. Kiana Rembert is another one, and Kennedy Fauntleroy definitely as well. Kennedy, we probably recruited the longest because we tried to get her out of high school. Well, actually, no, Kiana Rembert the same. But I think for us as a staff and for her, I think it just came down to wanting to get into a system and be with a coach that she could trust, that she felt like she had a relationship with. I think she felt like she made some mistakes in the recruiting process, maybe was looking for the wrong thing, and looking at the wrong thing, meaning, P4, everybody thinks P4 is where you need to be. And really, just having conversations with her, it's about trust. It's about, being around people that she feels like will help take care of her on and off the floor. It's about relationships, and as I said before, me and Kenny have spent a lot of time off the court, just getting to know each other. I think that's important, that a point guard and a head coach have a relationship. And, I've really given her the green light out there on the floor. She calls a lot of the plays. There are times when I do want things and I'll overrule her, or she'll look at me. But I would say it's probably 50-50, her calling the plays and me calling the plays. And so it's kind of made my life a little bit easier out there. But, our program is about relationships. My culture is extremely important to me. I want my girls to know that it's more than just about basketball. I want to help them prepare for life after basketball and making sure that they have opportunities, and not just looking back in their 3-4 years here and saying all I did was play basketball. I had a relationship with my teammates, with my staff, and now I've made relationships here with Pirate Nation that's going to help me, once that ball stops bouncing.
Kim McNeill joining us, and a lot of work to do, but already 20 wins this season, 12-2 in conference play, and it's number 1 versus number 2 in the American coming up Saturday, 1 o'clock, Minges Coliseum. Coach, I know you want a big crowd. How much does a crowd impact the girls on the court?
Oh, you guys have no idea. This game kind of reminds me of the championship year when we were playing Houston, for second place. And I think we had about 2,500 at that game. And that'll probably be an experience that I'll never forget, in my head coaching career. Just hearing Pirate Nation behind us, yelling out the ECU chants, the purple and gold. It makes a world of difference. It's 6 man, that passion behind us, and just to see the support, which we've been seeing a lot here the last couple of weeks. But I hope Pirate Nation can come out. Game time is 1 p.m., not 2. I know people are used to us playing at 2 on Saturdays, but it's a 1 p.m. game. I'll be doing a chalk talk at 12. So come on out, Pirate Nation, support this team, help rally us to a win. We're still battling, for first and second place to try to get that double bye, to get us in the semis of the championship tournament. So we need your help. We need your support on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a new format, right? So that'd be huge
is.
if you could get that double bye. Real quick, I referenced it earlier. Don't leave early. If the Pirates are down 12 with 3 minutes left, that's right
No.
where Kim wants them.
Yep.
I know you don't want it that way, Coach,
No,
but
I
it is
don't.
remarkable. I mean, it's
I don't.
remarkable how your team is able to have those fourth quarter rallies. It's awesome.
Yeah, we kind of started off the season a little bit different, but we just try to have that no quit mentality, and I just firmly believe, and I will always believe in that, if you defend and rebound, you have a chance to win the game. And I think we've always been able to do that, but this year we've been able to make some baskets. I think we're second or first in the league in scoring. So that's kind of been different. We're averaging about 72 points a game when we're normally around the low 60s. So, us having the ability to defend and now we can make some baskets, has definitely allowed us to have the success that we've had this season.
Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck. Looking forward to Saturday, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
Thank you, and go Pirates.